It may be hard to remember that Kayleigh McEnany, long before her binder of defenses of Donald Trump, used to appear on CNN. She was actually pretty critical of Donald Trump. We've talked about that in the past, but it turns out that way back in 2015, she actually spoke in particular about what it would be like if Donald Trump went up against Joe Biden. Listen to this.
Advising a campaign, which of the Democrats would you want to go head to head against?
I would say Joe Biden is who I'd want to go head to head against for the reasons you just articulated. That being said, I think the Republicans run into a problem if it is Joe Biden and if it is maybe a Trump on the other side, because Joe Biden, one of the things he is remarkable at is really kind of being a man of the people and resonating with middle class voters, feeling like coming off as human. You know, his gaffes, as much as we make fun of them, to a certain extent, they make him look human. So in that sense, he's likable. So while, I think Joe Biden would be an easier person to beat, I think, at the same time, we've got Hillary Clinton's mistrust or mistruths. We have someone who is not a good politician. So it kind of is a toss up, really. But I'd say at the end of the day, probably Joe, although if Trump is against Joe, I think the juxtaposition of kind of the man of the people and kind of this tycoon is a problem. Although Donald Trump remarkably is coming off as a man of the people despite being this, wealthy business tycoon.
JR, look, it's fairly obvious. Basically, everyone says that about Joe Biden, but she wasn't really wrong. Like, yeah, his gaffes don't really make him unlikable. She's trying to pretend now as press secretary that they're huge issues and they go to him being crazy or something. But when she wasn't being paid to lie for him, just paid in general to deceive people, she was admitting that, yeah, no, people like someone who's a little bit real and makes mistakes and stuff like that.
Crazy enough, Kayleigh McEnany gave like an actual Republican assessment, political assessment of what the race, what she feels it would be. Yeah, she still was leaning towards Trump, still saying she thinks Trump could beat Biden. This is again 2016, when Biden didn't actually run. But it really it gives you a full, clear illustration of the way a Republican would think and analyze something like this from their perspective versus a Republican who's now paid to demonize and campaign for their perspective. So the idea is to create this scenario where the other person's a monster and everything that they do or say, every step they take means that destruction, total collapse. But when they're not actually in the race, you can say things honestly like, yeah, there's issues that Biden has, but these are the good things about him, because that's just a normal thought process. She's not actually as dumb as she has to be now that she's working for Trump. But in order to work for Trump, you actually have to dumb down any full, clear thought process that you might have, at least in the public. Maybe behind closed doors, they still say things like, hey, Joe is coming off way better than Donald is this week. Maybe we should do this. And then when they present Donald with it, he goes, what are you talking about? You mean words? No, let's not go that route.
Yeah. I think that when you become press secretary, they do two things. They suck all your brains out of your head and then they give you a binder of things to say. And I've got the ultimate example of that. So I'm gonna skip to the last graphic, by the way. So back before she was working as press secretary, she was like, Joe is like warm and funny and he comes off as a real person. She was being honest. And now she can't do that because that's her job, is to not be honest. Responding to her 2015 comments in a statement to CNN, McEnany said that since then, she has learned of what she called Biden's, quote, profound personal corruption, and said the former vice president has become, quote, an empty vessel for the liberal elites and far left, echoing attack lines often used by obviously, because she's not a person anymore. She just reads, this is the line I'm supposed to say, personal corruption. The far left controls him. That's what I think. I don't feel anything. I don't have anything. I'm an empty husk of a person now. I just whatever the campaign says, that's what I say.
And honestly,
that's frustrating, but really fast. My last point on this, that's super frustrating, but you know what's gonna be more frustrating? In a year when she's back on CNN as a commentator. That's gonna be more frustrating.
Look at Rick Santorum. He ran for president back in 16 anyway. I think it was 16. It feels like it was way longer ago than that. And look at him on CNN every day, just spouting Republican talking points, just for the sake of having his face on there and say, here's a Republican to say stupid things that we already know that they're gonna say. And for people who may say, back to my thought, for people who may say, oh yeah, what about Democrats who just kind of jump around and say whatever's needed to be said, maybe by press secretaries or campaign advisors or spokespeople? Sure, they do. do that. But that's why people, and this all ties back together. That's why progressives that are getting so popular in this country are that popular, because people can see through the BS. And when someone actually comes through and says something that they believe in and goes for an approach that they believe in without all of the political fancy icing on top of the cake, people like that. Yeah, it happens with establishment Democrats too. They jump around, jump ship, say one nice thing about somebody, then flip back and do it another way. We know that happens. We know how much the Clintons loved Donald Trump and them before. They all interact and love each other. It's just now when it comes to election time, they start pulling out the knives. How about we get consistent, be truthful, and say what you believe in, and then fight to go that direction? That's what progressives are doing, and that's why both of these establishment sides don't like that, because there's a little bit too much reality, and it makes them look as fake as they are.
Yeah. So see-through, man. Like this is one of the things that turns people off to politics. They look at that and they think that's not a real person. That's not a person who's actually telling us what they think or feel, and they're not thinking anything and they're not feeling anything. They're just being paid to lie to us.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.